We are in the middle of Cannifest in the Cannifest tent in our nice little KMUD lounge. Levels are good, sounding clear. Everyone hears us. If you're in southern Humboldt right now, you should definitely get in the car and head north up to Eureka. And if you're in northern Humboldt right now, then you have no excuse. You should be on your way here right now. And it's really fun. And the mosquito problem has seemingly gone away. I feel like everyone's in really good spirits. I'm very happy to be here. Weather's perfect. I got a nice little crew of folks I rounded up. I'm just going to go around in a circle and have everyone introduce themselves. Alec, let's start with you.
Well, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor and pleasure to be in Humboldt, enjoying this beautiful, beautiful day, beautiful event, beautiful community that we're all part of, and we serve this great spirit plant, teacher, cannabis, and yeah, I'm a co-founder of an analytical chemistry laboratory called SC Labs. We've been testing cannabis phytochemically for 15 years now. And yeah, it's been one of the greatest educational experiences of my life, just learning a lot of, I'm a cultural anthropologist and ethnobotanist, and kind of from the perspective, testing, just seeing the way it's provide a language of meaning to understand and interpret this plant and, all the great gifts it has to bring. It's yeah.
Thank you. Very happy to have you here. Amber, hop on.
Hi, so my name is Amber Danson, and I'm the distribution director for a vertically integrated company. We have a farm in Salmon Creek, processing, packaging, and distribution, and soon to be retail in Eureka.
Awesome. Welcome. Kevin.
Hi, I'm Kevin Jodry, cultivator, the farm, co-founder of the Gangier, and co-founder of Cookies Research and Development at the One Log in Cooks Valley.
Amazing.
And a supporter of KMUD.
That's right.
Yeah, when I went to Pakistan, I made sure I rocked the mud with me. And we were just talking about how the development of our regions mirror the development of those regions, where cannabis is this thread that impacts people in, I think, such a really positive way. And if you get some of the corporate mess out of the way, you can still see the purity of it.
Yoo-hoo! Yeah, it's really the most easily identifiable thing about what's going on at this event. Is like, oh, this is the culture. Like, we're still here. It's weird watching the overall industry morph and change and be picked up by people that I don't recognize, and it's like, cool, I don't know where you guys have been all this time, but it's awesome to come here and be like, oh, cool, like everyone else is still here. So regardless of what's going on out there, it's nice that we can all still gather and have each other and have something to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. We're in bulk up and down the state. And so I'm traveling all over the state all the time. And I will say that it almost seems a little bit like we have been forgotten about, or we have been, there's a negative context in this Emerald Triangle, which really is even further, right? I'd say you could draw a line from San Francisco over, and everywhere north is sort of like those people who really started this, and we had our culture. And a lot of those folks are dropping out, And so therefore, throughout the state, you just don't see us as much. And so I find, though, that it's what's really interesting about these different fests that are going on. You had Emerald Cup, you had the State Fair. If you look at who's bringing home those awards, they might not be Emerald Triangle brands, but it's Emerald Triangle product in those brands. So if you look and you really look at all these awards, our region, especially Humboldt, actually, is really still bringing the terps, we're bringing all of this that the rest of the state just really, who's newer to the game, isn't able to provide. So I really feel we still do hold this, this relativity in the market that people have sort of forgotten about, because it's about that bottom line.
Well, they're about to relearn.
That's exactly why I brought Alec over for this conversation, because I'm like, okay, you're running a lab, and I just watched you pick up 2 random Ziploc bags and identify the terpenes in the bags by name. And I was like, I don't know, you could be lying. I probably wouldn't be able to tell him the other, but it's like, you're running a lab. You guys are based out of
Santa Cruz.
So you're probably seeing a wider, Humboldt will be at one edge of your business area. So I'm curious if you see that reflected in testing that you do on plants coming from Humboldt or Northern California versus the Santa Cruz or versus Central Valley, or you're running the test. So I would imagine you have a good insight into that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I fancy myself a high-level terp nerd, and yeah, it's amazing just how testing can, help to just validate what intuitively is kind of already known by those closest to the plant, and the just association of smell and our olfactory senses and what tastes good and smells good, and just that whole kind of experiential kind of aspect. But testing has really helped to strengthen and solidify that, and kind of um, and kind of getting, I think, more to the thing you're going to bring up. And one of my biggest observations, right, is like, because through lens of testing, I think it's really helped to provide a language and meaning to understand and interpret this plant and the offerings it has and the range of possibility and effects, and using most precisely for the treatment of different conditions. But then there's this whole other aspect about like the revolution in the soil and the kind of the connection to like cleanliness, and cannabis is now being tested to a level beyond anything that's ever been tested, and it's the great bioaccumulator
any
of the
food
century
that's in our grocery store.
Yeah, it's how, and through the lens of testing, it's helping uproot the story and legacy of the Green Revolution and the effects of World War II nerve agents, shifted pesticide of the future, and what we've now done, what we've done to our planet, our mother, to the soil, to our bodies, to the microbiome of our guts, to the connection to all chronic illness, cancer that's among us, and how to restore balance, and I think cannabis it's just, I think there's, those that moved up here so long ago to stewards of the land, to be in service to this plant, to never compromise the integrity of the sacred medicine plant,
because otherwise you don't sleep well.
Yeah, and I don't think the value has been really appreciated through this market and the creation and you've had the dirtiest and cleanest in the state competing on the same price point to extinction, all driven by the East Coast kind of traditional demand or kind of purple candy gas.
There are people that don't care what's in their cannabis. And I've had this thought where I'm like, man, if you want to judge this plant by indica sativa hybrid and THC percentage alone, then like Humboldt is going to get left behind, because it's like, but once you start opening up the plant to all these different terpenes and then actually getting that information and getting that information into the hands and the minds of the consumer, so that people know, like they could actually look at something. I don't understand. Like when I was young, we knew what Beasters was.
Yeah.
And it was cheaper, and everybody knew what it was, and they knew why it was cheaper.
It all had kind of the same smell. Like,
yeah, and it's like, cool, this is like commercial work. You pay commercial prices, but it's not the same as like what comes around when like the Dead's in town and you get stuff from California, and it's like, oh, wow, okay. Yeah. So like, I think getting that knowledge back to consumers so that they can tell the difference with testing, like, oh, this is kind of this like sexy looking jar is actually mids.
Well, and that's kind of something I like wanted to kind of hit on, because I feel like those closest to the plant have always known defines the chronic, that sticky, that like resin ring, the terp halo on a joint when you're smoking, the aromatics and that are present in the flavor, aroma, and how those are enhancing the unique effects possible. Like, but the thing is, when those aromatics go away, it's like because like everybody's so focused on this number, like THC. It's like, just as an example, right? If you had like two like strains of cannabis, say, sure, 30% THC, and one was like train wreck, jack, like terpinolene dominant, like cerebral, artistic, inspiring, kind of like energizing in that way. And then you have like another 30 that's like granddaddy purple oracle, like myrcene, super couch lock, relaxing type effect. If those were both dried and cured, terrible, smell like hay, absent of the aromatics, that could be like 100-to-1 cannabis to terp ratio. So there's, in my opinion, in the future, that's what defines biomass, right? There's no more value for that to be represented as an artisan flower offering, but it can still be distilled and add terps in the end. But it's like the effects are effectively gone, right? So it doesn't matter if it's terpinolene or myrcene, because it's 100-to-1 cannabis terp, right? That's herbal distillate, but versus you could have something that was like, say both of them were 15%, which gets in all over this market, but they're harvested in the middle of the night around the full moon, like dried, cured, preserved below 60 degrees, like refrigerated to the point of consumer purchase. There could be like 5% terps in that, like 3-to-1 cannabis terp ratio, whatever that terp combo is going to be most enhanced, kind of unique effect.
Something that you just spoke to me is like the difference between what I did in Humboldt for 20 years and having a job. You know, it's like the biggest thing with like the way that the market is right now is that I see a lot of this industry turning into jobs.
Yeah.
And when you're doing a job, there's not always time for like art, you know? And it's like when you run a business that's based on these numbers and bottom lines and doing things a certain way, it's like I never went out to my garden once thinking I was clocking in for a shift and that shift would be over. Right. You know, it's just like, these are my friends. This is like what I love to do. And I know the more I pour into this, the better, like I said, the better I'm going to sleep because I'm going to be happy with what came out the other end. And it's like how to quantify that so that people down the supply chain can look for that and buy that product. But I think it's really hard. It's like how as a brand, as a farmer, like how do you show that love?
Marketing. In a word, marketing. And unfortunately, you know, like I'm a multi-generational cannabis farmer, and I grew up in a time where you don't tell everybody what you do. And now we live in a time where I'm supposed to put my whole entire life all the time on social media, which feels very
super
sticky.
Counterintuitive.
Feels sticky to me. It feels like something I don't want to do, but maybe I'm being forced to do. And so my rebel nature is to like turn away from that. But we say all the time, like, we don't even sell weed anymore. We market weed.